All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. Live tonight at the Burlington Buffalo Wild Wings, as usual. Have some old family friends here with me tonight. Travis Pence is going to be on the show. Jimmie Sykes, again, not able to make it, had a family emergency, so we'll try it again next week with Jimmie Sykes, but he's not here this week. So you're stuck with me and Travis. Travis was nice enough to bring his car tonight, so it's parked out front, minus the wing. He went non-wing racing this weekend at Jacksonville, so we'll talk to him about that a little bit later. And of course, we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about with Travis. It's 3:05 at racing days now as he's moved up through the ranks for hobby stock and stuff way back in the day. So we'll talk more about that, about his son racing as well. All kinds of great stuff going on this summer for Travis and the Pence racing team. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Had a great weekend for the Pure Max Racing non-wing micro series this weekend. Two new winners on the series. Matt Lees picked up his first career win on Saturday night at Wayne County Speedway. The fourth race at Wayne County Speedway. The third race for the series. Also, Wayne County Fair had a race. He was the perfect winner for races. And Jacob Patton of Noah fame, so to speak, Jacob is the name of the Mara Brothers Series Sprint Car Series champion. Picked up a Pure Max Racing Series on Sunday at Jacksonville Speedway. A great weekend of racing for the Pure Max Racing Series. We were able to have all kinds of great racing action. 24 cars on Saturday night at Wayne County Speedway, and then we had 18 cars at Jacksonville on Sunday, so a little bit different for the Pure Max Racing Heart non-wing series. Of course, the AMS had a huge weekend. Check out all their information. American Modified Series here on Facebook and also on YouTube. I believe there's some stuff on there as well, but check it out on Facebook. They have all their winners. I know Nick Hoffman picked up a win at Spoon River. Had a lot of great racing starting in Tri-City on Thursday night. Friday was at Farmer City. Saturday was AMS. Had a huge weekend. Sunday, check out all that. Also on YouTube, I believe there's some stuff on there as well, but check it out on Facebook. County Speedway. They have all their winners. I guess actually Monday was Spoon River rained out / weathered out, wetted out. Friday was Fall National City. Saturday was Monday. So they had a huge weekend of 35 cars. Also, they're able to do here is a lot of great sponsors coming on board with John Oliver Jr. on that show. Of course, John Oliver Jr. and so many of the local guys this week, Austin Becerra, Austin Becerra, Adam Burke, all made the Sport Mod show. John Oliver Jr. on that show. Of course, John Oliver Jr. and so many of the local guys this week. Several others made the Sport Compact show, the big dance up at the Super Nationals going on tonight through Saturday night. So there'll be a lot of great racing action at Boone Speedway. If you've never been there for that event, it's a ton of fun. Adam, so we're going to take our first break right now, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll have several others. Travis Pence joining us here on the show, and he'll talk to us a little bit more about what he's been doing this year and everything that goes on up at the Super Nationals going on tonight. There'll be a lot of the non-racing action at Boone Speedway, Jacksonville Speedway for that event. We're talking a little bit before we came on air. So he never has raced a lot in Jacksonville. Travis had planned to race Saturday night for Power I Race. He'll talk to us a little bit more about CS. Got their show in at 34 Raceway this past weekend. We've been doing Friday night for Power I. However, it did not. So he said, well, I have the wing off. The car's ready. Let's go to Jacksonville. A little different facility at Jacksonville than there is at 34 Raceway. So we'll talk about that. Jacksonville, a lot of big stuff to talk about here as we work through tonight's CFF Racing Show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. And our performance bodies and studio guest is Travis Pence. And we'll be right back with him right after this. Said he never has raced a lot of Speedway. Jacksonville, a lot of big stuff to talk about here as we work through tonight's CFF Racing Show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. And we'll be right back with him right after this. Said he never has raced a lot of Speedway. Jacksonville, a lot of big stuff to talk about here as we work through tonight's CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Pence. And we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Dwayne Hill. Travis Pence, right there, 305 sprint car driver and 410 non-wing driver, sort of.
Sure, I guess you could say that.
So you had the wing off for Saturday night, didn't get to race at 34, so what the heck, right?
Yeah, might as well. So like I made a post on Facebook on Sunday. We don't build a race car to keep it in the garage and look at it, so we might as well take it and race it. So we didn't even unload it off the trailer on Saturday night, and we just took her down to Jacksonville and tried her hand with the non-wing. So
Well, if you're going to take a 305 or a 360 or something smaller than a 410 somewhere, Jacksonville's a good place to do it. The motor is important there, but not nearly as important as it would be at 34 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville's definitely a place where the driver makes the most difference. And a couple times I ran there in the midget, I pretty much sucked there. So so I was itching to go back there and finally try to run something and see how I could do. And we rolled it on the trailer in one piece and had a good time. So I count that as a good night in my book. So
yeah, anytime you could put the car on the trailer. I mean, you've ran non-wing stuff obviously because you did the D2 stuff and the midget stuff. Sprint car a little different, I would imagine.
Oh, it's way different. The power, even with just a 305, the power difference between like a D2 midget with the Ecotech and the even just the 305 is way different. And you gotta be on the gas a lot harder if you want to get around there, even with the extra power. A lot more steering, a lot more brake and throttle together, and it was definitely a new experience for sure.
Well, it looked like you got faster as the night went along, but the track was really, really heavy the other night, especially when you guys came out for your feature.
Yeah, it was really heavy. They worked it during intermission, which I kind of would have hoped to see them kind of leave it and kind of open up the top lane a little bit. So I only ran a few laps of the feature before I pulled off. I thought I heard something in the motor, but I think I might have just been hearing things. I'm a little bit of hypochondriac when it comes to my motors. I don't want to really blow one up for my own stupidity. So we pulled off, and we were about to get lapped anyway. So I figured I'd just, leave it a good race. It was their championship night, so I didn't want to play into that in any way. Just run around the back. So
that's kind of a tough place to be in, isn't it? When you're trying to get some laps and do some things, but there's guys have a lot more experience and a bigger motor and everything else combined are going to be coming up on you. But there's a thin line there, isn't there, between how hard do I push it, how much do I keep trying, and do I get out of their way and let them go?
Yeah, and the whole intent of going down there was just to go and, try out the non-wing thing. I've been wanting to do it. I've had the sprint car for 3 seasons now, and I've been wanting to try non-wing ever since I got the sprint car. It was something kind of a bucket list thing for me, and so I've been wanting to try it, and just things come up that I wasn't able to do it, and then I was kind of really bumming out Saturday night after we got rained out, because I'm like, I finally got here, the car's unloaded, we're ready to go, we go out and pack the track, and then didn't get to run. I'm like, oh man, it's been, am I ever going to get to run a non-wing race, so that played in a lot of in our decision to go in Jacksonville Sunday. So,
well, you've said you had the 305 for a few years now, but you've raced numerous different things through the years, and you've done a little officiating as well.
Yeah, started out, I was in college, and my college instructor, Randy Walker, he used to race hobby stocks at 34. Him actually racing is kind of what got me into taking the auto body trade versus doing a more mechanical route when I was in college. And so when I was in college, I built a hobby stock and went and raced it. And I was just out of college, just started working full time, didn't have any money, and I went out to the track 3 times and only actually ran on the track once, and ran out of money. So that was kind of the end of the hobby stock deal. And then I helped with running Athcon Park Speedway with the mini sprints and mod lights and different things we ran there for a couple years. Did some flagman work there, and then
flipped the car there.
And I heard hot lapping it after the races were over one night. Yeah, that's the only time I flipped a car, but yeah, I did it and wasn't even actually racing. So flipped a car as a flagman. That's one of my proud moments, which there's many of. But
so usually the flagman gets flipped off. He doesn't do the flipping.
That happened to me too. So yeah, we covered the bases on flipping there. So.
Then you went midget racing. Well, D2 midget, Ecotech racing. Little difference. I mean, obviously they're both 4 cylinders and they're direct drive and everything, but the Ecotech is a true out of the crate motor, right? For the most part.
Yeah,
or supposed to be anyway.
I probably had 6 or 7 Ecotech motors in the time I ran midgets, and they all come out of junkyards, and that's probably why I had 6 or 7 of them. But we finally got one put together right before I got the sprint car. I had one built. I actually, for the most of the time I ran the midget, I'd take the Chilton manual from the auto parts store for a Pontiac G6 and put the motors together myself, and we'd just scrap all the spare parts from all the blown up ones and make motors and go run, which didn't turn out to work very good because I went through a lot of them, but it's what you had to do to get to the track, so that's what we did.
Well, there's no form. I mean, D2 racing's supposed to be a little cheaper form, and it is a little cheaper than others. But there's no racing that's cheap anymore.
No, there isn't, and it's all about you could spend your money doing whatever you want. We just decided to spend our money on going racing. It's not like we ever had a ton more money than anybody else. It's just we chose not to buy certain other things to go racing, and that's just what we did because that's what we like to do. So. I mean, anybody can do it if they want to do it. It's just whether they really want to or not.
Or they want to put that money into that spot or not.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Well, the 305 kind of came about because I was talking to you and Boner the other night at Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Too good of a deal to pass up.
Oh, yeah. Scotty got a car from a guy that was getting out of it, a car owner that had been run for several years. And the car actually sat for several years. And the guy was getting in bad health, and they had Scotty come get the car, and he made me a heck of a deal on the car, and that's really the whole reason I went sprint car racing. So that year we had everything set up. We had a good chassis. We had a brand new engine that was built for us for the midget, and brand new set, good CSI shocks and everything ready to go. We were primed to make a good year that year, but just timing worked out, and that deal showed up, so we went sprint car racing.
Sometimes you just can't pass things up when it's the right time or the right deal. You just have to take it, don't you?
Yeah, and it was the right time. I mean, I love racing at Canton. Canton's an awesome track, but driving there to run weekly was just wearing us out, and being, it was too enticing to go race every week 20 minutes from home versus an hour away. So that played into the decision to get a sprint car as well.
Well, and you have pretty good help. Scott's a pretty good dude to have in your corner.
Yeah. I'd say as far as sprint cars go, he's definitely a legend around here for sure. And I wouldn't even know what to do with the car without him. And he's been such great help. And everybody at Midland Performance, with advice or help or suggestions or telling me I'm stupid when I screw up, which, believe it or not, is a really good thing. But yeah, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be racing without them, that's for sure.
Well, you've had a lot of things change recently, but you talked about professionally your auto body stuff. You have your own auto body shop now. Mm-hmm. That make racing easier or harder?
Kind of both. There's times where I just got to get something done on the car and I can go do it. I actually live a block away from my shop, so I can be back and forth, or like if I need to go grab something, I can just go do it. And so it frees up a lot of time to be able to spend the time you need on the car, but also get everything done. So it's kind of an open schedule. Like it's all kind of, especially with like doing auto body work, like you've got a lot of things, stuff works based on timing and stuff. So there's times where like I'll work late at night just because that's how the timing works out of it. And then, sometimes I work on the car during the day and work at night, and just kind of however the day plays out is kind of how we do it. So
yeah, paint has its thing, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
and body and stuff has its thing. It has it's dry time, it's whatever time, and you have to wait on parts.
Oh yeah, we do that a lot sometimes.
How much easier is life now, do you think, for you when you order parts? You could probably get them in a day or 2 days or 3 days, whereas 20 years ago it was weeks at a time, or calling on the phone, sending a check.
Yeah, for the most part we don't have much trouble with getting parts that we need. We order most everything from Shottenkirk. They do a really good job of getting us the parts we need. Everything's easy now. I can pretty much order everything online and don't ever have to pick up the phone, and can get all the parts I need, which is super convenient when I'm doing all the office work plus most of the work in the shop as well.
Well, you got a nice spot in Stronghurst.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of auto body places in Stronghurst, but there's a lot of deer.
There isn't, yeah.
I mean, what percentage? And we're getting away from racing, and we'll get back to it. But what percentage of your work is like deer work?
For a percentage, probably roughly 60% or more. I mean, we get deer hits in the middle of July. I mean, that seems like every other job is a deer hit. Just they run all year anymore. There's not just a season for hitting deer with your car. So we're very. I don't like ever to see people, because usually I know most everybody that comes in the door. I really feel bad that they hit a deer or whatever with their car, but we're glad to see them come in when they do. So I always tell them after I get the job done, I hope I don't see you for a while. So,
well, the nice thing is insurance hopefully pays most of
Yeah.
it, but you got some deductible or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's the thing about living in the Midwest is every place has its own thing.
Oh, yeah.
Hail, you probably had a lot of hail stuff this spring too, didn't you? Or did you not get much up in the Stronghurst area?
Stronghurst area lucked out quite a bit on that regard. A couple years ago, we did have a hailstorm. Matter of fact, it was like the last day of February we had a hailstorm, and I got pretty busy off of that one. And it was kind of an odd time to have a hailstorm in the end of February, but we haven't had a whole lot of hail since I opened up my shop. But I'm sure one of these days it'll hit, and unfortunately, and we'll be doing that. So,
well, obviously you need the shop to have the race car.
Yep.
You hear a lot of horror stories where guys will have a good shop going and they start racing in the shop and they end up going broke. How hard is it balancing the two?
It's not really too bad. I kind of just, if I need to take a week off, I take a week off. I mean, I did that, there's 2 or 3 weeks in the middle of this summer where I was too busy and didn't get the car ready. So we just, rather than go out and screw around and have something broke and tear something up, we just, we'll just wait for another week. So,
well, you talked earlier about family. You got some of the in-laws here with you tonight. I've known all that table, most all that table for a long time. That's hanging out with you tonight. But it was a rough early year for you. Obviously, you said you still have Lucas, but you lost your wife earlier in the year. How hard has this race season been? And I know, if I remember correctly, that car has a little special meaning for you too.
This race season, it's been good, but it's been tough too. The first night I got in the car this year, that would have been the first time, even since running like figure eights at the county fair when I was 16. The first time this year I got in the car, that'd be the first time that Alicia wasn't there to watch or be with me in any racing I've ever done. So it was a tough thing. And she loved the racing too. She definitely didn't love it as much as I did, but she loved going, and she loved that I loved it, and she loved to see the joy that I had when I was doing it, and that's really what made her love it. And she was always beside me everywhere we went. We got some pretty interesting stories when we were out on the road racing D2 midgets. But yeah, the car this year was definitely something special. I talked to her, and she passed away the end of January, and I talked to her in December, and I told her, I'm like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to race this year? Do you want me to sit this one out? Because I was ready to sit this year out, and she's specifically said, I don't want you to quit, and to keep going. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it, what do you want for the car? And the first couple years I had the sprint car, I did a different. I always did in the midget. I always had a lime green car. That was kind of my thing, and
maybe that's why you blew motors all the time.
It might have been, because that's why we didn't. Yeah, because the whole green car thing. Yeah, so we shied away from that the first couple of years of the sprint car, and she specifically said she wanted a green car and she wanted gray stripes on it and she wanted to have the brain cancer ribbon on it. So that's exactly what we did, and we're going to keep that scheme again, the same for next season. And it's also the same color scheme we got on Lucas's outlaw card as well. So,
well, Alicia had a long battle for your guys' age. You're both really young. Her battle was long. What was it like trying to balance all of that stuff as you were trying to still, be a family, go to the racetrack, and go off while you knew you were dealing with that at the same time?
Well, so the midget thing kind of started out, and I had a chassis I was starting to build, and we were going to race. It would have been 2012. We were going to start racing the D2 midgets, and then we found the tumor the first time, and so that put an end to that season, and we went through all of 2012, and she went through the surgery and all the chemo and radiation and everything, and we got through that, and everything was clearing up. So 2013 we went, and it was kind of one of those things like, you have something like that happen and you realize that, life's not very long, in all reality, so you might as well go for it when you have the chance. So that's what we did, and that's kind of the decision that went behind it, going into racing with the D2 in 2013. We kind of went from there, and went well. I mean, as far as balancing all that stuff, I mean, she handled her cancer better than anybody I've ever seen handle it, and just, up until it was the end, this last year was quick and went quick, but I mean, up until that point, you would have had no idea that she even had cancer. So, I mean, it was pretty easy to kind of balance that at that time.
She had really good faith, did a lot of things in the community, faith-based stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure that had something to do with it. Is the things that she helped start and do, are those things still going in the community?
Oh, yeah. She was one of the co-founders of Family Outreach Community Center in Stronghurst, which I'm actually on the board of now, and we have a good executive director that's kind of leading that now, and I think it's going to keep going for a long time now that we've got everything situated. So the lady that's the executive director was hoping that she'd have Alicia to lean on a little bit longer than what she did, but I was going through some stuff and found all of her notes that she ever made for the place, and gave those all to her, and so she was pretty excited to have that. So everything with that stuff, with that community center and everything we do is like, I try to base all my decisions being on the board of that as what she would want. So, I mean, it's thriving, and everything she ever tried to do was just kind of out of love for others, and, treat people with kindness and show her faith through that. So,
well, a couple weeks ago was a pretty big surprise for you at 34 Raceway.
Definitely.
Tell everybody that don't already know what happened at 34.
Well, so 2 weeks ago, or may have been, three, something like that. They all run together anymore, but
that's what happens when you get old. Right?
So we a little bit of backstory to that. I saw they were going to do the Race for a Cure night, and I thought, that's fun. That'd be great to be a part of. And then they posted earlier that week that they were going to give some of the donations to the cancer center up at University of Iowa, where Alicia had all her treatments and stuff. And so I was like, that's pretty cool. So of course I, shared it and said, thank you, whatever. And I went to Donaldson to help on the 50 car that Friday night, and we were kind of concerned, Scotty's like, well, bring your car because we might be low on cars because there was Missouri cars going back to run the lake on Saturday night and stuff. So and I was kind of like, oh, I'm not sure, maybe we'll have enough cars. I was just going to show up with the 305 Sprint Invaders, try and tag the tail, make $300. So done that a couple times this year, but we did that, and it was like I had to do some work at the shop that Saturday morning. I wasn't sure if I was going to go, and it was like 2:30. I'm like, it was that thing again, like we didn't build a car to sit in the garage and look at it. So we decided to go race, and I go to the driver's meeting that Saturday, and Jerry Glasgow, who's in charge of Sprint Invaders, he makes the announcement at the Sprint Invaders drivers meeting that Randall's Performance raised $5,000 for the Race for a Cure night, and that they were going to donate that to the University of Iowa. And I didn't have any idea about it, and I was trying not to tear up in the drivers meeting around everybody else, but
guys aren't supposed to do that.
No, but I held it together.
Especially racers.
Yeah, I held it together, and then after the drivers meeting, Jessie comes over to my pit, and she's like, well, at intermission, me or Brian or somebody will come over and grab you, and we'll go out to the front stretch and do a presentation. So we did that, and Alicia's mom, Missy, who works at Randall's, she was there up in the suite because it was Randall's night, and had Lucas with her, and so they come down with Brian and got me, and we went out to the front stretch, and they did the presentation. And then some of my fellow drivers went out in the stands and passed their helmet around and collected even more money. Jessie told me the number the other night, and I can't remember what exactly that number was, but I think it ended up being over $6,000 that we're going to donate to the Cancer Center at University of Iowa, which completely caught me off guard and was really awesome. So
Jessie's been pretty good through this whole thing. There was a couple benefits through the years, and the most recent one I know at the feedlot.
Yeah,
she was kind of involved in that too. Jessie and Brad are really good about that kind of stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're super good with that. And even before they had the racetrack, Jessie was always doing some sort of benefit for somebody else and doing what she could. She's definitely got some marketing skills that she uses to be able to help the community out. And I'm so grateful for what her and Brad are able to do in the community as well, and now being able to use the racetrack is, something to give back to the community with as well. They do an amazing job with that.
Well, we haven't talked about the little guy.
No, we haven't.
We've talked quite a while, but haven't talked about the little guy.
Yeah.
He's doing some racing too, isn't he?
Yeah, yep. Lucas is racing. I don't know. Maybe it's a God thing. I don't know. But I ran across on Facebook McKenna Hassey. She does Compass Racing Development, like my shirt says here. She put out a post on her page last year for the Compass Racing Development that she was taking applications to sponsor kids for like safety gear and stuff like that, or like an engine for their go-kart or stuff like that. And so I filled out the application. I just told her, I'm like, we don't know anything about kart racing or anything. I race myself, and we've been trying to get our son to race for a while, but we don't really know anything about it or know anywhere to start or even have anything. If there's anything you could do or anything like that, and told her about the whole situation and everything. And she ended up calling me a couple days after Christmas and said she wanted to do something with us, and that she actually had found a go-kart that she was going to buy. A sponsor helped her get a box stock outlaw kart to buy, and that she wanted to have Lucas races this year. So it ended up everything come together, and we've only raced a few times this year, and Lucas is still learning, but he's getting faster every time, and we've just had a blast every time we've gone out. It's so much fun.
Well, I know your picture on Facebook is him. I think him in a driver's suit. I can't remember if you're in a driver's suit or not, but what's that feeling like watching him climb in the car now?
I actually love it. I hear, different interviews with dads whose kids race, and probably on a different level when they're going a lot faster, it might be a little more scary. But right now, with that restrictor class, I mean, I've got a smile on my face every lap he's out there. It's just so much fun to watch. And
well, Lucas is here. Is he awake?
He's awake. He's playing on his
phone. Lucas, you want to come over here a minute?
Come here, bud.
Get right in here in the middle.
Here. Show everybody your sweet mullet.
Oh, you got a mullet going on. Look at that.
So that's Rico inspired right there, isn't it?
Are you a Rico Avery fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is McKenna to work with?
Cool.
Did you get to see her last Friday night?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's done some pretty cool stuff. What's it like? Dad says he likes watching you on the track. Do you like being on the racetrack?
Yeah, it's fun.
When are you going to take over his 305 ride?
I don't know.
A couple years, 5 years, 10 years? What do you think?
When I'm old enough to drive race cars?
Well, you're driving a race car now.
It's not a race car, it's a go-kart.
It's close enough, right?
Yeah, you're having fun. You're wearing a fire suit and a helmet, right?
That's right.
Yep. Get strapped in. Yeah. How fast do you go?
I don't know.
Really? Does it feel really fast?
Fast enough, right?
Yeah.
You feel like you're getting better every time you go out?
Yes.
How cool is it to have Grandma and great grandpa and grandma come and watch it?
It's nice. I like them to come out because I like to see them.
Yeah. Everybody likes to see their grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't they? That's the best part, because I'm sure they don't spoil you at all. Do they? Not even a little? Or a lot?
Grandma Sharon does.
Grandma Sharon does. That does not surprise me. Not at all. You know how long I've known Grandma Sharon? I'm almost 45, and I've known her almost 45 years. Yep. My mom and her mom were bestest friends. Oh, so I've known her a long time.
Yeah.
I've known Grandma a long time, too. So, I keep tabs on you. I know what's going on. Is that good or bad?
Good.
Good. How about we have you on the show in a couple of years when you're ready to take over Dad's sprint car ride? How's that sound?
That sounds good.
That sounds good? All right, Lucas. Thanks for stopping in here and talking to us, okay, buddy?
Okay.
All right. Lucas, impromptu interview. Well, he's got a big smile. I love to hear it.
Yeah,
When are you going to do that?
I'm not going to do that because mine just does this. It doesn't go down.
Well,
So
you got to. It's a business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah.
You got to cut the front and leave the back alone.
I think I'm good where I'm at. Actually, I don't know. It makes him faster. I don't think it's going to make me any faster. So
Well, he's like the same height as Rico Avery right now.
yeah.
So when he grows up, he's going to have to let his hair keep growing so it stays the same height. That's how that works, you know.
Yeah. So we were at the All-Star race, and he had to go and meet Rico, of course. And Rico walks up to me. He's like, "Man, I love your hair. It's so awesome." And so Lucas was all excited about that. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rico's a good dude. I've dealt with Rico a lot through MOA and stuff, and he's an outstanding guy. Great with kids, great with fans. And that's a big, important part of even for you. I mean, you're not Rico, obviously, but having kids come by and look at the car, it makes it a lot more fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I love when people come by back to the pits after the races. I wish more people did. I know it's late, especially with kids, but, come by, I'll let anybody sit in the car or whatever. And it seems to me like every time I have a green car, I have a lot of kids that like it. So I'm probably going to stick with that green car for a long time because everybody seems to pick that one out. So
you're not superstitious?
No, well, I am.
But not about a race car?
Yeah, I'm not. The peanuts thing, you're no peanuts at the racetrack. That one's definitely the superstition for me. So
if I brought you peanuts, you would not be a happy individual?
No, because Danny Farr, the race photographer, teases me all the time because I made a post about it when I was at Ocala watching the USAC race, and I was sitting in the pit grandstands, and somebody had peanut shells sitting on the bleachers, and I made a post about it, and so she's gave me crap about that ever since, about bringing me peanuts, and I tell her no every time.
How about candy peanuts?
No. Those things are disgusting.
Well, I didn't say they were good. I just was trying to test how far the peanut thing went.
No peanuts at the racetrack.
If it has peanut in the name, you don't want it.
No peanuts at the racetrack.
Okay. So unshelled, shelled.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Candy, fake, real, no peanuts.
No peanuts at the racetrack.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think I'd ever brought you peanuts anyway. But for anybody listening, that might be an important thing.
I didn't make that one up either, so I learned that one hanging out in Midland. So
that's a boner thing?
I think so, partly. So
that's a good group of guys out there.
Oh, I love going out there and just sitting and listening to them talk. Really, I mean, the stories they've got, and I love hearing those old stories from the past too. I enjoy all that stuff and all the craziness from days gone by. So.
Well, we talked to Scott. Yeah. We're going to try and do this throughout the winter.
Yeah.
Maybe have him here in November or December, because I think Scott could be like a really good 45-minute interview.
Oh, yeah.
He's worked with so many people, done so many things, and he's got good stories, bad stories, and stories you probably can't tell on the show, even though it is on the internet.
Yeah, we'll have like probably 5 or 6 Bud Lights. It'll get really fun. So.
Yeah, I got to give him a limit before we start. Butter, you've got a 3-beer limit prior to the start of the show.
Oh, no, that'll just make for better entertainment.
That's true. It's on
the internet. You can do whatever you want.
You can say whatever you want to. We don't care. It's a free world. Do what you want. Well, Travis, you brought your car. You mentioned you like having people driving by looking at the car, and we're trying to do that with the CFF Racing Show, having the guests bring cars. So we appreciate that, but it is kind of neat to get the car out in front of some people. And it's right here on Roosevelt, so a lot of people driving by looking at it.
Yeah, it's nice. I like to show off the car whenever I can. I don't do it a whole lot, just because sometimes it just doesn't fit in the schedule. But anytime somebody asks me to bring the car, I try to make it happen if I can. Just because the only way to get people to the track is for them to see the cars, see the drivers, and. Anytime I take it anywhere, I say, hey, come out to the racetrack. We got this race coming up, or anything like that. And that's really how you build new fans. Get outside the walls of the racetrack, and you got to bring them to you, so they're not just always going to show up. So.
Well, one thing before I let you go, one last thing. Races from 2012. We played those again tonight.
Yeah.
I messed up. I thought you were on that one, so it was a different one that I watched. I played the wrong one, but. Kind of cool looking back, and we try to do that every week, play a race. It's kind of cool looking back and seeing some of the guys that aren't racing now or change classes or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun to watch some of those old races, and I like seeing all that stuff. Usually I go on Dirt Vision. I'll watch all the old races before I watch the new races, just to see what it was like then and different kind of stuff like that. And it's definitely fun to watch.
Well, Travis, I'm going to let you get out of here. I don't know how long we've been talking, but I think it's been quite a while. So I appreciate you stopping by and bringing the family with you. Greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you at, we didn't talk about it, Lee County Speedway on
Lee
the
County
14th.
Speedway on the 14th. We're going to put the wing back on and run the 305 Sprint Nationals. So hopefully we get a bunch of cars out for that and have a good time.
Well, one thing, okay, I lied to you. I'm going to ask you one more thing. Because
that's all right. I can be here as long as you want. So
because this might be the most serious question I've asked you the whole time. They announced this week that they're allowing the Race Saver or the race, whatever Knoxville calls the crate cars, to race with them. Honestly, what do you think about that? I mean, 305 is 305 to some extent, ideally.
So the whole pro sprint thing, I'll step on some toes here, but sprint cars don't have carburetors. But as far as them coming to race the 305 Sprint Nationals at Donaldson, I could care less who shows up. That's always been my thing with racing, and that's kind of part of what I got burnt out on D2 racing with was, they kept doing stuff to try and make everything fair and all that, and like I didn't have top dollar equipment or anything like that, but my theory is, you bring your best stuff, I'll bring my best stuff, let's run, whoever wins. If you win, I need to get better. If I win and you don't, then you need to get better. And so that's why it doesn't bother me to take my 305, go run non-wing with 410s. I wanted to go run it, so I just went and ran it. Bring your best, I'll bring my best. We see who wins. That's what racing is. So
and it's sometimes you have an uphill battle, but
yeah.
those 305 is 305. Now there's a few other changes and so on. And I remember back when I ran to Lee County, it was they could have the dry sumps up at Knoxville, and they couldn't have them here, and everybody thought that was a big deal. I remember back when I was doing the Tri-State Speed Review prior to this and doing the CFF Racing Show and doing recordings, one of the big things was quick change versus 9-inch, and everybody thought that the quick change was so much better. When in actuality, gear to gear, if you have a 411 and a 411, the 9-inch actually has more power.
Yeah.
The only difference is you can do 413, 418 with the quick change, and you can change it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
That's the difference. But when you're comparing apples to apples, it's not. So it's kind of that same thing. You get 305s. There are 305, and like you said, I worked in Indiana. Worked with Tim Engler a lot. He is one of, if not the smartest guy I've ever talked to in my life.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
And you put an Engler injection on a true 305, you're going to have to cheat up a 305 pretty bad with anything else if you've got that Engler tuned right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as with most any racing, and definitely what I've learned over the past few years running 305, and especially, all the time I've spent at Midland, a lot of winning races has nothing to do with what's on the car. It's all about, when you have something break, knowing where your tools are in the trailer, being set up and being ready to race before you pull out of your shop and everything like that, being prepared and knowing where your stuff is and knowing what you got before you go. I think that makes just as much difference as what's in the car anyways.
Yeah, one of the things that always kills me about racing is when you pull into the pit area and somebody has to pull their car off and do all their maintenance and all their work in the pit area.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've raced 4 nights in a row, that's different. But if it's Friday night and you haven't raced since last Friday night, there's a problem.
Yeah, and usually if I recruit like Scotty or somebody like Nick Easton or something to come help me, and they've got to do a bunch of work on the car before we race it, they usually yell at me anyways. So I always like to come prepared. So
don't like to get yelled at.
Well, I mean,
who does?
I deserved it, but
still don't like it.
But that's how you learn. You got to come prepared and you got to come ready to race if you want to. If you want to be competitive, You do it at home and be ready before you come.
All right, Travis, I'll let you get out of here. Right there in that bag is a shirt from Performance Bodies.
Oh, sweet.
Performance Bodies gives a...
Got a bug crawling around here.
Yeah, had a cricket. We might have had the doors open earlier.
Yeah.
Might have. I won't confirm or deny that. But anyway, Performance Bodies in studio guests. I'll get a T-shirt from Performance Bodies, so it's an extra large. Will that fit you?
That'll be perfect.
Okay, so I want to thank Mike Horton for that, for sending us a whole bunch of that stuff. So we'll be right back with our final words here on the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, right after this. Buffalo Wild Wings. Works better if I turn the microphone back on. I apologize. Welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. A little extended break. Everybody's gone. Everybody left. Travis is out loading the car. Aunt Sharon and Uncle Bob took off. Missy took off. Everybody's gone. But we're just about ready to wrap things up. I want to thank you for watching, either if you watched live or if you came back and watched it after the fact. We appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to Pat Fagan. He got his busy week right there, Fast Shafts. Of course, they've got their Fast Shaft Invitational going on at the Boone Super Nationals. He's been giving out his little miniature drive shafts. Nobody better in the business than Pat. So if you want a drive shaft for a modified late model carbon fiber, steel, whatever you want, he can do it. As again, he's the best in the business. So if you want help, need some help, talk to Pat. He can hook you up. I want to thank Mike Horton at Performance Bodies, our Performance Bodies in-studio guest this week. Travis Pence, had a nice long interview with him. He's had a lot going on. As I said, I've known Alicia's family since we were all kids. Well, I was kids. You know, Bob and Sharon, Missy's mom, which is Alicia's mom. Forever. You know, when stuff like that happens, you know, I know a lot of us have been touched by cancer. My mom passed away because of cancer. It's a horrible, nasty disease. But seeing Travis and Lucas persevere through that, and seeing what Alicia was able to do through that and with that, and her faith, you know, it gives you some strength in knowing that you know, keep fighting, keep trying. Either when you're the one that's battling, or you're the family member of the one that's battling. Cancer's a Drag is October 5th in Bushnell. Breast cancer awareness deal. All kinds of things. I get involved in a lot of stuff for cancer, and when it hits you at home, it means something to you. So it's a very personal issue this weekend. I want to thank Travis for being very poignant in what he said, and thank Randall's Performance and everybody who stepped up to donate to the Iowa City Brain Cancer Research Group. So we want to thank everybody for listening. Get out and watch a race, the Herb Barlow Memorial, Friday night at Jacksonville. There is the Tom Knowles Memorial Saturday at Spoon River Speedway. SIR has races. Circus City has races. If you're micro fans, a lot of big racing going on at those two tracks this coming weekend. All kinds of stuff. Of course, Tri-City has a big race on Friday night as well. So if you want to go watch some racing, get out there. The time's limited. Everything after this week or the next week pretty much becomes specials, and then it's the end of the season, and you're going to be wishing you'd win. So make sure you get out and watch a race here at the end of this year. We'll be back here at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Burlington, Iowa for another CFF Racing Show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're supposed to have Austin Becerra on next week. I don't know if he'll bring his car or not, depends on how tore up it is, but he did make the big dance in the Sport Mods, the Northern Sport Mods at the Super Nationals up in Boone. So he's supposed to be here next Wednesday night. Hopefully Jimmie Sykes will be here as well. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. We'll have a car or two out front hopefully next week, and we'll have some great interviews as well. So thanks for joining us here on the CFF Racing Show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Dwayne Hill. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week.